they're playing, and there are flowers and animals are all around. So everything is exactly the same as it is here, except vastly more wonderful. Everything is
Right.
just so much better than it is here. And that sounds like it's paradise, and in fact, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, among other things, everything is permanent. There isn't anything, there's no decay.
Nothing
There,
dies.
there are beautiful plants and they don't decay. They're permanent.
Hmm.
Um, there are wonderful colors that are not seen on Earth because they're beyond the visible light spectrum. Um, my mother died in her sleep and she woke up in a house there and she had to be convinced she had died because it all seemed so normal when she woke up. It was like, oh, this is lovely, but they had to talk her into the fact that actually she had died. But of course she had a lovely young body. That was one little clue. She wasn't old anymore. But that's how lovely it is. It's all beautiful and it's
Yeah.
all new.
So we will have the same experiences. If you can imagine what it would be like to be on the earth plane as we are right now. And that suddenly everything on the earth plane turned out to be beautiful. The flowers actually not only had scents and beautiful colors, they also had music coming from them. There's,
Yes.
there's an ambient music, and that everything was, there is no dirt. The houses have no, there are no doors that you have to worry about having people not enter. And if you can imagine this life that we're in right now on the earth plane, if you can imagine it suddenly changing to be like that. So it was a wonderful, beautiful world with colors that we can't even imagine, with sounds, with music, with people who are genuinely loving to each other, don't even worry about having doors. If you can imagine what that would be like on this plane, that is what it's like there.
It's beautiful, right? And the water is not wet. It's like silk, and it gives off a beautiful music. It's life-giving. You can walk into it clothed and walk out of it dry, and it's alive. Jesus says that to the woman at the well, if you knew who it was that it asked you for a drink, you would ask him, and he would give you living water. He was talking about the water in the afterlife. Jesus was. Um,
Yeah.
when I realized that, Craig, I can't tell you, I about fell off my chair. He was talking about the water in the afterlife.
Yeah. Many of the things that Jesus is speaking about
Right.
were references to the afterlife. And the great thing, the wonderful thing about it is that those who were recording it, they recorded the oral tradition after several decades. And they recorded the oral tradition of what Jesus had said. They recorded things that they didn't understand. We understand
Right.
today, but they didn't understand them. And that's a proof of the fact that they were simply recording what he had said
Right.
because they didn't understand it, but they did record it. And now today we are beginning to understand what it is that he said. He said
Yes.
in the Gospel of Thomas that the kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the face of the earth, and men do not see it.
Right.
And the people then wouldn't have understood what that meant, but we
Right.
understand it now. We realize the fact that the kingdom of heaven is a condition of mind. If we all loved one another, if we had compassion, if we were concerned more about other people than we are about ourselves, then we would inaugurate, we would be living in the kingdom of heaven right here on earth. And it's up to us. The only thing that holds us back is the fact that people believe that they're separate from each other, believe that there is only this life and that there is nothing more, and we have to grab everything we can get out of this life. But if we could just eliminate those thoughts, begin to love one another unconditionally, we would be living in a heaven on earth.
Yes. It's all quite wonderful. No, he that I think that it's very vivid in my mind even now, that moment when I realized that he knew that one little fact. That's what made me first realize that it brought together my two hobbies, which were studying the Gospels and studying the afterlife. And I realized he really knew what he was talking about. My life was never the same after that.
Yeah, it changes you. It's a life changing, and that's what he intended to happen. So
Yes.
he didn't intend to give himself as a sacrifice for the atonement between God and man. That was not his purpose. His purpose
No,
was to
not at
be an
all.
example, to be a teacher, to give us everything we needed to do to understand, and then to allow us to take that and then become even more, even greater because of what he had given to us. He said that you were going to be able to do things much more so than I can do them.
Yes.
And what he meant by that was, here's the teaching. I'm teaching you. I'm giving it to you. Now you can make much more of it in the world than I can make of it in my short time here. And we just haven't, after 2,000 years, we haven't gotten the idea yet, but we are starting to. And this effort is going to come to fruition. It's going to be happening, and we're going to be seeing some of the fruits of it in our lifetimes.
One of the things that we've been asked to do and we're going to do is a separate part of the Seek Reality Online website is going to be devoted to teaching what Jesus taught, teaching the way of Jesus. That's what he didn't come to start a religion. It's pretty clear. He came to teach the way of Jesus, and that's what he called it at the time. And the Romans, after 300 years, co-opted the way of Jesus and created Christianity, which was a pretty brutal religion, not at all what he had come to teach. And so what we're going to do is teach the way of Jesus. I always talk about that teaching, but a new book that is going to be coming out, and I think now it's going to come out in the fall. But I've been talking about that book on Seek Reality to come out soon, and now I think it's going to come out in the fall. And
so his second coming is going to be when he's understood for the first time.
I think that's what his second coming is going to be. It certainly isn't going to be him on a white horse with a sword, because it would destroy every bit of what he originally came to teach. It would spread fear on the earth and not love. And he came to teach love. We aren't sure yet, are we, Craig, exactly how it's going to work? But we're being told by beings not in bodies what to do, and I think that that this website is going to be what we're being told to do.
Yes.
So we're about to learn what we're supposed to do. But yes, people way above our pay grade are telling us what to do, and this is all part of it. But before people understand what comes next, they will not be receptive to understanding what Jesus came to teach, because there's no possible way, while people are living in fear, that they can understand what Jesus came to teach. There's no possible way. Jesus came to teach love, and love and fear are direct polar opposites. You cannot love the way Jesus taught us to love while you are living in fear. And of course, what Christianity teaches is basically fear of God, fear of hell, fear of so many things. And that's going in the wrong direction. So we are going to try to turn that around.
Yeah, and one of the things that has to happen to us as we grow spiritually, as we come to make this kingdom of heaven on earth, we must give up on what we were taught as children. So, in other words, all the old prejudices or the old ways, the old viewpoints about life, they have to go away, and then every generation has to renew itself. It has to come to things anew, because of the fact that this is where we're going to have the growth of humanity is going to come from rejecting what it is that we had before, and then accepting whatever that is valid and whatever that is in fitting with what we know to be true about life and about the life after this life. And then going on to become new spiritual creatures, the new humankind. And every one of us in our lives must become a new creature. We have to become reborn. We have to become born again. And that born again doesn't mean that it's a born again belief in a faith. It means born again in the sense that we become a new person. And we do that by understanding, by searching, by looking at what we know to be true, and those on the other side are very much with us the whole way. So they're counseling us and giving us intuitions and helping us to grow into being all that we can be. All we have to do is be open to it, and they'll bring it to us.
all the blogging I've been doing over the last 10 years, I've been trying to more deeply understand what Jesus taught. And one of the things, and I found it so hard to believe this, one of the things that Jesus seemed to be doing in the Gospels was trying to get us past religions, all religions. And more that seems to be true. And including the one that bears his name. And I think that that's really true now. So we're going to see if that's really what he wants to do. The book that we're going to come out with, I believe in the fall, we'll see when it's been written. It's actually been written and drafted. I think it's close to final form for the past 4 years. And it's called The Fun of Loving Jesus, Embracing the Christianity that Jesus Taught. Let's see where it goes. But I think that's where it goes.
Yeah, he had wonderful messages for us. And most people don't understand them because of the fact that they've been taken up by the church, and the church has placed its cloak over them. And so they look what the church is teaching, but that is not what Jesus was teaching. His message is a wonderful message, full of love, full of nothing having to do with fear, nothing with exclusivity, where there's only a certain number of people who are right and who are good and who are going to go into the heavenly kingdom. And all of that was taught by the church is simply not true. And so as the church drops off then, and we take that cloak off of the teachings of Jesus, we're going to find a glorious, glorious set of teachings that are going to make a difference for humankind.
But it'll only be what Jesus taught. Mm-hmm. Nothing that anyone else taught. If it's only what Jesus taught, then that should be all good, and that's the way it needs to be. But anyway, you and I have sort of gone off on a little tangent. Let's sort of finish what we were saying. People ask, what are the kinds of wild animals that are there? There are wild animals.
There are wild animals. There are all the animals that we're familiar with and more. But all of the animals that we know, they are not afraid of each other. They do live in a separate area. So it's rather like a forest, rather like being in an area like that. But you can walk up to the animals and they have no fear of us. They have no fear of each other. There is no death. There is no eating of flesh, of that sort of thing. The animals are very much akin to us. They are part of our lives. And so we can go up to and pet the lion. And we can pet all of the animals that we would be fearful of here on the earth plane. So the animals are there. Every one of the animals that we're accustomed to, we can go out and spend time with them, and we can then communicate with them because they do communicate with us.
So you could pet a lion.
Yeah, so you can pet a lion. You can give them a scratch behind the ear. Yeah, and they're very receptive to it, because of the fact that there is no fear, and there shouldn't be any fear. Fear is something that, as you say, fear is something that is in the earth plane. We were reared with fear. We were raised to believe that we must be fearful, and that's one of the things we have to eliminate. We have to stop and say, no, wait a minute, there's no reason for me to fear. I certainly shouldn't fear God. But I shouldn't have to fear anything else. I shouldn't have to fear what's going to be happening with me when I've left the body behind. The fear has got to go. And so what we have to do is reject the fear that we grew up with, and then embrace the love and embrace the hope for the future, because we know what's going to be happening, and it's glorious.
And we get to do a lot of traveling, and we get to do a lot of sort of just enjoying one another, enjoying these animals. Just playing. It's playtime when we first get there.
Yeah, this is the time when it's our reward for the lives that we've been living, for the crucible that we're in now, the difficulties that we're in now. So this period of time in the next plane of life, and the Theosophists called it Summerland. In this time in Summerland, it's a time of recreation. It's a time of renewal, of coming to the next stage of our lives. We continue to grow spiritually, and actually have classes, and we have speakers come down. As one instance in which all of the people who were interested came together in a huge auditorium, and they listened to Martin Luther speaking. And they have other speakers who would come like that and who would teach. So it's a time of learning, of renewing, of having our acquaintances and our loved ones around us. There's recreation.